that was kind of when Derek was still actually point fighting, and then I was at his first fight because I was going to fight on the next show. So I've known him quite a long time, and he was, as you know, he's the nicest guy in the world. He's like a gentle giant, but he could fight. He could throw. He won. I believe he won the Golden Gloves too. He had good fast hands. He wasn't known as like a real power puncher, even though he knocked a lot of people out. But he was just so good. His legs were incredible, and he just threw so much. He came in incredible shape, and he got it done. And he won most of his fights by knockout.
Well, what's interesting about Derek Panzer was that he is what you consider a true, probably cruiserweight, heavyweight, but not super heavyweight. Moves like a middleweight, could kick with either leg, and was all over the place. And like you said, a sweetheart of a person that looked really mean when he got bald and they got that mustache on him.
But I remember watching him point fight. I've been around a little bit, not as long as you, but I've been around.
Right.
And I watched.
Oh, he was on the JPM team. Yeah.
I remember actually. I think I watched Moses, which is very little, fight him for a grand championship out here on Long Island once, and it was like Davey and Goliath.
Yeah, but even that, just to be fair, Moses Orocho is definitely a lot older than Mr. Derek Panzer and a lot smaller, and that's what I mean. That to me, martial artists are like superheroes. They're able to do things that just the average bear can't do. Whether it's a big guy that moves like a middleweight or a little guy that's all over the place and beats the big guys. I love it.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of what's lacking a little bit in martial arts today is that, everybody wants to be like an MMA fighter too quick, and they don't really learn how to hone their skills. You trained your whole life to get legs like you had, it didn't just happen in one day. And, the kids today, I get kids come in my school and they want to fight right away. They don't want to, if I tell them they're not ready, they just quit and go somewhere else. They don't want to trust in the experience to tell them when they're ready and where they're ready to go. I think it was different, even when I started, than it is today.
One thing I can't say is this: as a real, true person who cares about the people who we train, our job is to, without trying to sound funny, to protect them, because we do know better.
Yeah, if we don't think they're ready for something, it's because of our experience. We know that then, we're going to bring them at the right time. The best thing in full contact fighting in any real professional sports or amateur level, everybody who fights is tough. It's a matter of when you're ready to be in the right place at the right time. And the important thing, especially when you turn pro, is having good management that's going to care about you. That's not going to just put you out there just so they can be involved with a show. They're going to put you out there because they think you're going to win. I don't ever put anybody in a fight that I don't think they could win.
Let me tell you something. This is one thing that I completely 1,000% believe that you do, have done, and continue to do, which is care for your people. And it breaks my heart, without mentioning any names, I have seen people who I used to respect, and I do respect for their martial arts skills, but they set so many people up for failure by throwing them in against people at the wrong time. And a lot of careers were cut short, whether it was in boxing or kickboxing or even MMA, because they didn't get a chance to, like you said, hone their skills. I think you might find this pretty interesting. One of the most outspoken MMA fighters of all time, pretty diverse guy that will run a triathlon just to warm up for MMA fights, Nick Diaz himself. There's a video of Nick Diaz talking about karate people. He says, man, these guys are so dangerous that they don't even know it. He said, when they punch your face, they'll break a brick, meaning that the technique is so sharp in terms of that strike, that right hand to the face or whatever it is, but most of them don't realize that that particular thing there is dangerous. And you take that combined with a whole other repertoire, and you get someone like Steve Wonderboy Thompson knocking people to the head, or even Raymond Daniels hitting people with 360 hook to the face at the same time, So you're right.
You just mentioned two kids who came up from the point fighting circuit. They're the two of the, especially Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson, I knew from the first time I saw him fight that he was one of the best fighters I've ever seen. And he just keeps growing. Now he's in the UFC. He's ranked in the top 10. Raymond Daniels, I'll be honest with you, I think he's an I mean, we all know how incredible of a kicker he is. I think they moved him too fast. You know, to put him in against the best in the world in kickboxing so quick, I wouldn't have done that. I would have let him develop a little more as a kickboxer. Even though Glory's so big, it's a great opportunity for him. Through experience, I didn't think he was anywhere near ready to fight.
Tommy B. Bottone cares about his people, and he knows long term is more important safety, because after the career is over, they still have to be able to have some mental skills. Absolutely. And I think that's probably the part that you know the most of, Mr. Bottone. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. I mean, like people ask me, why did I retire when I was on top? I was like, well, first off, I was getting old. You can't fight forever. And I was smart enough to know that, nobody lasts forever. It's time. There's a time that you got to step to the side and let other people do it. And there's also, if you want to go on, and like boxing, I've met so many boxers that have made a lot of money supposedly, but they're dead broke now. And they have no skill. They have nothing that they can do, like to supplement their income. It's a sad situation. Those warriors, pretty much life ended when they weren't able to be the warriors. And it's sad to say, but it's true. I mean, okay, let me just mention two more people just out of curiosity, because I'm really curious to see what you're thinking. Because some of these guys really against all odds. Now, we mentioned Bad Boy Lewis, and we also mentioned Henry Hitman Nieves, and I was ecstatic. I mean, my wife promotes a show that's on the TV show, Bronx Network, and Jimmy's Bronx Cafe, and I even had one of my students. So, as a matter of fact, one of my students fought against one of your guys, too, which was interesting. My little kid, he was like 7. I forgot his name. I'm sorry about that, but he was good.
Yeah. I'm going black. Oh, Emmanuel. Emmanuel was his nickname. I think his nickname was, I'm not sure if I put his rec suit on, and I put his name on it. I forgot the name, too, but that was interesting, huh?
Kids, John Gilliam, twice, I believe they fought.
Yeah, I think they fought on that card in the Bronx, and then one other time maybe in Queens.
Yep, and that kid was great, and John Gilliam went on to win an amateur world championship, and he fought in China, and
wow.
He only fought 2 pro fights because he actually became a correction officer as well, and yeah, so he never really pursued a career as a professional, but as an amateur, he was unbelievable.
Those 2 little kids stole the show.
Absolutely. And, people think that kids can't fight. Like I say, it's about management. It's about knowing what, when they're ready for what. All my best fighters, pretty much, most of them started with me when they were little kids. And, I wouldn't have them fight every day. I'd have them fight a couple of times a year. And they just keep getting better and better and better. And when they grew into men, they were just incredible. They had such an advantage on people who were just starting out.
Well, look, just to be fair, and without me trying to be a smart ass, that means that you really love these kids and know that long term somebody has to look out for them, because otherwise, by accident, like you said, listen, Raymond Daniels, in about a year or 2 from now, will probably be the best in the world if they take care of him. He's only lost to 2 people that happen to be the best in a world that he's not even part of 100%, because Daniels this weekend is in New York City doing point karate seminars yesterday, today, and tomorrow he's competing, and tonight he's competing.
Like, if you're going to fight the best kickboxers in the world, that's what you should only be doing at that point. It's a very, very serious game, and the guy, he like you said, he lost to 2 world champions. The one kid from Canada doesn't even have that many fights, but as an amateur, he was an amateur Muay Thai champion, and then he, went into the pros, got into Glory early, and he did incredibly well, and they fought in a tournament, and he knocked him out at the end of the fight. But, the other guy, the guy from Holland, I mean, that guy is no joke. I mean, this guy's got like 200 fights. He's been fighting forever. And, he's just going to find a way. And Raymond Daniels, in my opinion, is an unbelievable fighter. He's got a chin, he's got heart, his legs obviously are incredible, but he just needs more development. you know. And
right, time. You got to be able to nourish. This is the thing that's really interesting. You know, Anthony Pettis is one of my favorite fighters, and I believe he'll be coming back really stronger than ever. Such a wonderful kid.
Rufus, which trains him, and I love that kid. That kid's a great fighter.
Yeah, but he's a great fighter, but if you speak to him, he's a great person also. He's been doing Taekwondo since he was 5 years old. And Duke Rufus comes from a family that started as youngsters too. You know, Duke Rufus and I go back to the Waco team together back in the 1990s and even before that. But so that's my point. It takes time, exactly what you say. In order for someone to get good at anything, it takes time. Last thing I'm going to say about Raymond Daniels. And again, Scott Coker is a very good friend of mine. He was the Strikeforce owner, and now he's in charge of Bellator. You know, Scott Coker from the West Coast Denver team that I know since the early '80s. Realistically, and also the former owner of K1 USA, it was almost like a setup in the sense that he fought a guy in MMA that had 8 fights already, and that was Raymond Daniels' first fight.
But you know what?
I don't think. Yes.
Raymond Daniels is, you know, because he is such a high-level athlete, he's doing well, you know, and he really, you know, he didn't really get knocked out till he fought in the Glory. So,
no, I'm not talking about Glory. I'm talking about MMA.
Oh, I know.
Scott Coker had him fight. Yeah. He fought a guy that was, the guy was 8. The guy had 8 wins in MMA, and Daniels had 0 fights.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put him in like that, you know. But that's, you know, promoter. Scott Coker is a really good promoter, though. I mean, I can't say nothing bad about him. But it was a good match, you know. And that's why it's up to you to have good management that's going to help you be in the right place at the right time.
Those of you who are listening, guys, do not let your ego edge a guy out. Don't let your ego overcome and respect your team. Together, everyone achieves more. It takes teamwork to make the dream work.
Absolutely. And let me tell you something. There's things, you know, I could go on and on about how to handle fighters, but I've had many fighters over the years leave me because they thought that I wasn't managing them right. Meanwhile, I got them to amateur world champions and everything else, got them free.
They thought you was holding them back probably, right?
Yeah, and then when they leave, they don't do anything. You know,
well, they don't leave. When they leave, they don't do anything because when it's all said and done, it's mind, body, and spirit. It's just a sign of love. When you take the time, money, and effort to invest in another individual, there's nothing more heartbreaking from a trainer, instructor, to see a person who you put so much time in turn around and make some bad decisions. And it's not so much because of your camp, but you know that in life in general, we've seen it before. And it happens all the time when Mike Tyson or whoever it is goes and someone conquers their mind and they go somewhere else and they never ever able to produce the same results because it's not the same place that cares about them.
My main answer to my students that want to leave at times because they feel I'm not doing the right thing for them, a lot of times I ask them, I say, well, what changed? You know, we got you to be a world champion. We got you to travel all over the world. Everybody loved you. And why are you starting to lose now? What's different from 5 years ago? And usually the correct answer to that is they don't train like they used to.
Not hungry.
Yeah, they're not hungry. And many times I've told students that get to that spot that, you know, it's really it's okay. You already did so much in the sport. It's okay to retire. You know, you can, if you're busy with other stuff now, or maybe take a break. You know, go finish school or whatever it is you have to do, and then come back when you have that hunger again. But
well, you know the difference. You see, you retired question. When you retired, were you number 1 ranked, number 2 ranked, or were you the champion?
I was still the world champion.
So that makes you a minority, not just Puerto Rican Italian from the Bronx as in Long Island, kung fu guy that really did kickboxing and Sancho and everything else, but a person who was smart enough to say, hey, listen, after this career, I still have to be able to take care of my family and be able to have a conversation without slurring and stuttering because of my brain.
I've always had this hunger to be successful. You know, when I was young, I got thrown out of high school, and I started a trucking business very young. At 16 years old, I started a trucking business. And I was pretty successful with that. I had almost 20 trucks when I opened my school, and I decided to close the trucking business. But I always had a hunger to be successful. And there's a time you got to know that if I can't, I'm not going to be able to fight till 60. So I'm going to have to reorganize my business to make it where it's what I want it to be. I wanted it to be there for the kids. So the only thing I did was made it a little smaller and went and got a job. And I tell people all the time, if you're not making it, make changes. Do something that's gonna work.
Last night I finished at 5 o'clock in the morning when I got home. So I started at 6, and the only reason I continued working, she owns a soy candle company. She's in 4 countries and has over 1,000 stores that sell, and it's called Up Candle. And I work at nighttime for her, so she's working in the daytime with her staff, and I want to make sure I do my part to help her. But the point is that successful people are always successful because their standards are higher than most, and they're willing to put in the time, money, and effort and not listen to people who wants to create limitations in their mind. And there's times where you say, hey, let me work like I did yesterday from 6 o'clock in the morning to 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. And then because of that, the power talk didn't work out. But you know what? You got to be flexible. You got to communicate, and we're doing it now.
Yeah, I remember that commercial. I think it was an AT&T commercial or something where they said, yeah, I always wanted to start my own business so I could set my own hours. I just didn't know it was going to be 14 hours a day, every day.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference. Part-time for people who are employed is 4 hours. Part-time for a business owner, I should say, half a day is 4 hours. For a business owner, it's 12 hours. I worked half a day, 12 hours.
I tell people like that say they don't have time to train. I have kids all the time. I don't have the time. I'm like, listen, I just talked about when I had my trucking business. When I first opened I was still running my trucking business and driving my truck and loading it and going out doing 20 stops in the morning and 15 stops in the afternoon and making sure all my trucks were done and running up to 20 trucks a day. And running my school and still find time to train every day. I mean, could have trained more, but I didn't have so many hours in the day. I would get up early.
I tell you that they do that is make you one of the things of we don't freaking take 8 hours when you really needed 6 hours or 5 hours. So we never know how many hours we need. Is that correct?
I used to get up, early to go running every single day. I'd come home and I'd train for no matter what time. If it was 9 o'clock at night, it's not too late. It's never too late to train. If it's 10 o'clock, you train. And even if it's only an hour, it's better than nothing. And I train an hour, 2 hours, and and then that's why I eliminated my trucking business. I was like, if I want to be the best in the world as a professional, I'm gonna have to make a change. And like as we talked about, successful people know how to make changes and adjustments in their life to reach their goal.
Hey, I want to kick somebody to the head, right? But they're taller than me, they're faster than me, and I have an injury. Okay. But I still figure out a way how to do it, right? So if you're able to do that physically in the ring, guys, you're able to do that anywhere in life. You fake reposition, create the illusions, and you make the person look down.
Yeah, I mean, there's always
and you kick him in the head.
There's always a way. You figure out a way, always, I don't know if you know that in kickboxing lately, you don't see a lot of you don't see a lot of side kicks. You don't see a lot of hook kicks anymore. In the old days you did, and nowadays you're seeing a lot more low kicks and more strong kicks, but you hardly ever see a side kick. My guys don't throw them, but you don't see them too often.
Right. Well, they don't know better. There's a cycle of life that happens, and people normally want to do what successful people do. So if someone throws a front kick and with a back leg only, and they're not throwing these roundhouse kicks, see, they're not seeing someone like Don Wilson hit people with side kicks to the face, which was a point karate technique where he would just slide his leg up and kick it right to the face.
Oh,
it worked pretty well.
You know what was great about him is his kicks were so good that you forgot how good his hands were. And then
boxing inside, he'll kill you. Well, the same thing with Bill Superfoot Wallace. You know, he hit you a hook to your body. You're gonna feel it, you know, for a month.
Yeah.
Probably
and
push blood.
I watched Bill Wallace throw those kicks so many times, and I was like, you know what? And I used to use a hook kick all the time against really tall guys.
I know.
They'd come, and I'd step over and come over.
They never expected that.
Yeah, because nobody else was throwing them. So, you know, it was great. You know, I love watching those old time guys. That, you know, those guys, they were doing it right. You know.
Michael Husbands was kicking people all in the face.
Oh, forget it. Let me tell you. You know how I learned how to defend against kicks? Sparring with Michael Husbands. I used to spar with him all the time, you know, and he'd come, I'd be like, holy Christ, this guy can kick. And he was bigger than me, too, you know, and he could kick like a little guy. You know,
you know what's so funny? When I saw Michael Husbands fought for the first time many, many years ago, and we spoke about it, and he remembered what I did with him was I swept him. and he could not believe, coming from a style that was really known for being able to kick and sweep, that I swept him because that wasn't what he would have considered part of my repertoire.
Yeah, well, you're gonna, you know, a lot of times the best thing to do against somebody is the technique that they're good at. You know,
hit
them with their own techniques.
And listen, Mr. Bottone, I want to be respectful of your time, but at the same time, what I want to do is I'm going to shut up and let you give any final departing words. And I do have a question for you and actually a request. Will it be possible for you in the future for us to tap into your brain again, because you're giving us so many jewels and tools that people can really benefit from?
Absolutely. I'd love to talk to you at any time. You know, to me, the more, you know, what you're doing is a great thing with these interviews. You know, you're talking about people that I never hear people talk about anymore. You know, and we can't forget those who came before us. You know, there's so much.
Hey, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We stand on the shoulders of giants. You and I, the only argument that you and I might have is who's a bigger fan.
But it's true. You know, we express ourselves with passion because we love what we do. You know, it's not something that we're just doing because we want to fit in. We love.
Yeah, we're not faking it. We're not faking it. Hey, New Yorkers always keep it real. That's why people love and hate us at the same time. They say, man, I hate what he said, but I know he means what he said.
Yeah, but anytime you want to talk, you give me a call. If you want to come as a guest at my school, you're always welcome. You know, you're one of the best out there. There's no question about it. And you have unbelievable passion about the sport, about martial arts overall. And
I appreciate it.
People think of me as a kickboxer, but as you know, I'm more than that. You know, I love martial arts.
No, you're a martial artist and a strategist, and without sounding corny, you are a person who loves his people and family, and I really appreciate that. It's about spreading love, and that's what you're doing when you're taking care of people, man. Sacrificing, no, we're investing.
Well,
this is what it's about, buddy.
If there's anything I can tell any of the young people coming up is just train hard. The people that you trust when you start are the people that you should have with you when you get to the top if you make it there. You know, words of wisdom, because that's what happens. People, a lot of them are vultures, just looking for an opportunity to get you. Yeah, they want to make money off you somehow, you know, and the best people are the people that you trusted when you started, you know, and you want to go to a martial arts school where you feel like you can trust somebody. And if you still, you know, 3 years later, they got you to a place where you really want to be, don't turn on them, you know, because those are the people who got you there. You know, you should do it together as a family, you know. And, I mean, my people, I have students that are with me for 20-something years, you know, and we're in much more than a martial arts school.
And you know what's funny? The people, I've had an opportunity to talk to some of my students now from years after, and this is what's incredible. None of them or their parents even say, you know what, man, because you taught him how to throw that kick, he did better in life. They all say the values.
What it takes to become a champion is what it takes to be a champion in life. You know, you have to be confident. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what you do. And just like we talked about that in our martial arts schools and in business, that's the way it is in anything in life. You know, if you go to a big company and you're going to be shy away from anything, you're not gonna make it to the top. You know, you have to be confident in yourself. And martial arts does that. You know, it doesn't. Not everybody that trains is going to be a champion. You know, people train for different reasons. They train for self-defense. They train to be in shape, to be healthy. But we're there for everybody. You know, good instructors are going to train everybody. You know, and
hey, sir, any last parting words? Because I know that, again, whether you realize it or not, and I'm just trying to be, I can go on for the whole day, to tell you the truth, but I know that you have a schedule, and I know you have responsibilities, but I also want to make sure that you're happy with being able to share what you want. So I'm going to shut up, and parting words, shout-outs, whatever you want to say, sir.
I just want to thank all the people that came up before me, my teacher, Moses Orocho, guys like you, guys like Michael Husbands, Don Wilson, all the greats, you know, that I learned from them. And the people that I respect the most are the ones that are most humble. You know, not the guys who are showing off too much. You want to, you know, people who are humble, that are willing to give back to the community. You know, and if you can get your kids into a school, get them to a school. It doesn't matter if it's karate, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, boxing. I don't care what it is. Get your kids involved in something so they stay off the street. They don't get them away from drugs. Talk to them about drugs, how bad drugs are, and get them in something positive. Because as you can see with guys like Jerry and myself and so many others, martial arts is not something that we just punch, kick, and wrestle. It's a way of life, and it makes you a better person.
Wonderful. Well, God bless you. Hey, before we end this, let me just say this, and maybe you may want to remember this, because this is something that hit me just a few weeks ago. It doesn't matter what style it is, which we know that, but even the worst martial arts school is better than any drug spot.
Absolutely. I mean, I see it every day, as we talked about what I do for a living. You know, there's nothing worse than seeing a good kid, you know, get caught up in drugs and destroy their entire life. Because it doesn't just destroy them. It's not just because you try. It destroys everybody when somebody becomes an addict, you know. So to me, there's nothing more important than getting your kids into something positive, getting them off the street. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's baseball, tennis, dance class, whatever it is that's going to keep your kids in a positive place, then get them there.
And I would have to agree. And what's interesting is that all those things that you just mentioned there, that a lot of our siblings and children get involved in, if you combine it with a little sprinkle of martial arts, they become black belt dancers and black belt singers and black belt doctors and lawyers and black belt law enforcement officers and black belts, whatever it is. Isn't that cool?
They become champions in life, and that's what it's all about. That's why we dedicate our life to teaching others.
Hey, I concur. Words of wisdom there. This is the Tom and Jerry Show. There it is.
That's awesome.
The Tom and Jerry Show, from one champion to another, from New Jersey to Long Island, Strong Island, Will Cameron Island. Hey, in the famous words of some crazy Puerto Rican from the Bronx, and I don't mean you, when I say AB, I want you to respond by saying, see ya. Got that, Mr. Bottone? AB?
See ya.